As Disney Plus gets ready to make its worldwide debut, a lot of the more edgier content in regards to how it handles homosexuality or adult themes is getting edged off of the platform and bumped over to Hulu. And this is causing a massive problem amongst some Disney fans. And we're going to talk about that right now. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Matt Jarbo here, 3Buck Theater. If you like this kind of content, do me a solid and beat the crap out of that like button. I mean, really. Treat it like your worst enemy and smack it an even amount of times to where you end up on the like. Anyway, Disney Plus, as it gets ready to make its worldwide debut, we know here that it's going to be launching worldwide this year, predominantly in the UK in March. And really, right now, they're having some problems, I think, trying to get people to come on because they've been kind of offering up good deals. And my comment about that had a lot to do with the fact that The Mandalorian has already been out. So there's really nothing new that's going to be bringing people into the fold that aren't already in Disney Plus in the 3 countries where it's already released: Canada, US, and Denmark, of all places. But one of the bigger problems we're having right now is this blowback from the LGBTQ community over, a show called Love, Victor, which is a sequel series to the show or movie Love, Simon, that is now moving from Disney Plus over to Hulu for adult themes. And the thing is, as soon as I saw that show was announced, I thought to myself, there's no way it's going to go to Disney Plus. There's literally no way it's going to go there. Because I thought at first Love, Simon was an R-rated movie. It turns out it's only PG-13, but it is a story of it's a coming of age story about a young gay man. And while that is perfectly normal, perfectly natural, and perfectly fine, when you talk about Disney and its associations and its public associations, that is something that's still going to have a lot of problems with not only large parts of the United States, because we're still living in that particular world, but also other parts of the world in general. And that is going to be something that Disney is going to have to deal with. And in regards to the success of Disney Plus, they don't want to run the risk of alienating certain audiences. And so anything that's really adult themed is going to end up moving itself over to basically just, Hulu. Now it says here, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Love, Simon TV series that was originally developed and produced for Disney Plus has been moved to Hulu, now titled Love, Victor, after Michael Cimino's protagonist, a new student at the same Creekwood High School that was a setting for the Nick Robinson starring movie directed by Greg Berlanti. The 10-episode series follows in the footsteps of Zoe Kravitz's High Fidelity reboot, making the jump to Hulu. And again, it's fine to have it on Hulu, right? I mean, Disney, look, that's where all like the FX stuff is, right? That is where all of the adult content is. And it's not to say that this show is adult content, but again, in some cultures out there, like for example, Saudi Arabia, it's illegal to be homosexual. If you are, they will throw you off rooftops. That happens. Giving another example, if this moves into Russia, which I know they definitely want to do because that's a big marketplace, Chechnya, which is part of that whole thing, is a very, very, very Muslim country. And it's run by a very extremist Muslim government. And they have actual concentration camps aimed for putting LGBT people into. They have concentration camps in 2020 in Chechnya. No one says a word about it, right? No one says a word about it here in the States. But if they want to make their way to that particular part of the world, then that ends up becoming the larger conversation of like, well, this is their laws state this. Why do you think a lot of times when they put LGBT content in these Disney films, they make it to where it's an easily cut awayable situation, right? Like the lesbian kiss in The Rise of Skywalker was cut out for Middle Eastern countries as well as Russia, where it is also illegal to be homosexual. So this is the world that we live in, which is not all America. And so Disney has to then figure out how to be, how to find its place in the broad scope of the world. And here's the thing, you may not like it, and that's entirely fine. I don't like it. I think it's ridiculous to do, but that is the reality of the world of which we live in. And the other problem that Disney Plus is having right now is apparently LIZZIE MCGUIRE's ex-showrunner, she bailed on the show, Terry Minsky. would left the show because of adult themes as well, or she wanted to go more adult with the LIZZIE MCGUIRE revival series, and Disney was like, no, we don't want that. Right. And this is part of the problem that is going to come from these kind of revivals. If you look at LIZZIE MCGUIRE only had 2 seasons and a movie. back in the first part of the century, right? So it's been a long time since Lizzie McGuire has been on the scene. Hilary Duff herself is now in her 30s. The show was going to revolve around a single mother, Lizzie McGuire, and her navigating life as being a single mother. And Hilary Duff wanted to take it a bit more on the darker side because that is how life is. It's reflective of that particular type of experience. That's the one she wanted to talk about, being a single mother and the trials and tribulations that come with that, as well as trying to find happiness. And that's fine. That's great. I would have watched that show. I'm in my 30s. I have 2 kids, and it's something that kind of relates to people that I know, and it could be something people could check out. But the problem with that, though, is that Disney wanted it to be more probably like Girl Meets World, which was that revival of Boy Meets World where Corey and Topanga had their young daughter, and this show was about her, and it was done very similarly in the same fashion, and it lasted, I think, 3 or 4 seasons before ultimately getting the axe. And that's more or less probably what they wanted, but we don't really live in that cookie cutter 3-camera sitcom world anymore. Fuller House was a fun take on that, but Fuller House still touched upon certain darker elements, right? They touched upon more adult themes, and they did it in a way very similar to the old show, but they had it more modernized. And I think it worked out quite well for what they were trying to do. So with Disney, Disney's not Netflix for one. Netflix doesn't care. They've got their top dog spot. But Disney, on the other hand, they're in that weird position to where if they don't find a way to like separate the both of them for content, it's going to end up causing problems in other cultures. Now, someone did say to me on Twitter when I talked about this the other day that they live in a Muslim country and that there's a lot of this type of content on Netflix and it's not a problem. Well, that could be Netflix and that could be its own thing there, but Disney, on the other hand, is not Netflix, right? Disney has an image that they are trying to maintain, even if it is a massive, massive, massive facade in some aspects. So Disney's not going to want to mess with that. They've never messed with that. They don't want to cause any problems or cause any upsets. And this is just something that, I believe is absolutely well known at this point in time. But I do feel the biggest issue here is going to be the blowback from the community, because I think the community that's getting mad about both of this, like in regards to Lizzie McGuire, the fans of Lizzie McGuire are all in their 20s and 30s now. And they're saying, hey, listen, we want to see this kind of adult content, which is why it should move to ultimately Hulu. But the reason why it probably won't has everything to do with the fact that they announced it at D23 as a Disney Plus revival, and people are going to want to see that, right? They're going to really want to see that. But when it comes to, let's say, the Love Victor show or other kind of adult themed content coming to Disney Plus, look, you can sit there and say Pirates of the Caribbean is on there. Other PG-13 movies that are violent are on there. There's a whole bunch of beheadings in Star Wars, yada, 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 yada. But the thing with that is, though, is that violence is generally more accepted than bad words or, well, certain adult material. And not to say that we should treat homosexuality as if it's any kind of different thing out there. You shouldn't. But again, when we're talking about this particular space, there are just different values in different countries, and a lot of them are wrong and backwards and bigoted and ignorant 100%, but they still have to do that. The only way for this to really change in the way that people wanted to would be that the entertainment industry has to come out and pressure Disney to not do this, because they're the ones that ultimately work on the shows. They're showrunners, they're costume designers, they're writers, they're directors, they're producers. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to move LGBTQ content over to Hulu when a lot of people who are going to be working on the show, as well as a lot of other Disney content, are probably going to be LGBTQ. Again, it's not an uncommon thing in the entertainment industry. It's not an uncommon thing at all in Hollywood. And again, it's not anything that should be treated as weird. It shouldn't be treated as anything that is not right. So it's kind of a weird situation where my approach is, I understand why Disney's doing it. I understand why they want to have the image that they have and where it's going to go in other countries and the money that it costs to produce these shows. But at the same time, they probably should just pull the stick out of their ass and lead by example, So it's a weird place to be. However, I do look forward to your commentary on this, your thoughts and your opinions. Let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys about this all later. Have yourself a fantastic day. Thank you for watching, and peace out.